Hello everyone, in this video I'll attempt to definitively explain how Miquella is the favorite son of Radagon and Marika, showing how both of them tried to raise Miquella the best they could and loved him more so than the other demigods. So much so, in fact, Miquella is the very reason Marika shattered the Elden Ring for after Godwyn's death. I'm sure Shadow of the Erdtree will back me up when it releases sometime 2024. Seriously, I hope this DLC releases before Elden Ring 2 comes out. Miyazaki is trying to suffocate Miquella in his cocoon, I tell you. If we want to understand Miquella, we need to start the exploration with accurately understanding his upbringing, which is summarized by 3 words: Golden Order fundamentalism. See, in the real world, fundamentalism is the tendency among certain groups and individuals, usually religious people, that is characterized by the application of strict, literal interpretations to scriptures, dogmas, or ideologies, along with a strong belief in the importance of distinguishing one's in-group and out-group, self and other, which leads to an emphasis on the conception of purity and a desire to return to a previous ideal from which advocates believe members have strayed from. This term is usually used in the context of religion to indicate an unwavering attachment to a set of irreducible beliefs, the fundamentals. Now, in Elden Ring, fundamentalism does not have these connotations. What is being referred to as Golden Order fundamentalism has nothing to do with dogmatism or religion. In fact, as the lore makes it clear, it is the exact opposite. Fundamentalism is scholarship in all but name, scales incantation using both intelligence and faith. Golden Order fundamentalism, pioneered by Radagon, has more in common with the philosopher Goldmask than the religious zealots of the world. Both Radagon and Goldmask actually have a profound and deep understanding of not only the Golden Order, but mathematics, non-duality, spirituality, systems thinking, and metaphysics. Their passion is the pursuit of understanding the Golden Order at its most primitive and essential level. Golden Order is the current representation of the Elden Ring, and understanding that deeply will provide the kinks in the armor of Marika's designs, which was apparent for both Goldmask and Radagon. After all, Goldmask was awestruck by the revelation that pierced the truth of the Golden Order, whereas Radagon, up until the final stretch, was adamant in mending the Elden Ring. Now, before we go further, let's step back a bit and remember the definition of the Elden Ring. This definition has been partly created with the laws of causality and the regression spells, which are the core tenets of the Golden Order fundamentalism. But what exactly do these spells refer to? When you read their descriptions, they appear nebulous and more of a word salad for the uninitiated. However, make no mistake, what is described in these 2 spells can take hours to fully unpack. First, let's start understanding the law of causality deeply. The fundamentalists describe the Golden Order through the powers of regression and causality. Causality is the pull between the meanings, that which links all things in a chain of relation. This principle of causality can be defined as the interconnectedness of all phenomena. All phenomena in the universe exists within the context of mutually supportive relationships, what Buddhism refers to as dependent origination. Now, this idea is reinforced within the very scientific method, referring to how all things are linked in a non-linear and unpredictable chain of causation. Not a linear causation as in A causes B and B causes C, that's a misconception. The law of causality is non-linear and unpredictable. All parts of a whole are essential, and tinkering with even the smallest of events, however inconsequential it may look, will break the interconnectedness of all phenomena and will result in an impossibility. In order to keep things practical, I want to illustrate my point with a down-to-earth example, something that all of us can relate to. I want you to try to imagine how you would never be born if your mother didn't decide to go to that coffee shop that day, Thursday morning, accidentally hit your father, spilled the coffee all over his shirt, and promised to make it up to him with a coffee date the next day. You were born because your mother and father has met just in the right time, just in the right circumstances, and in the exact way they did for you to be born. If even the smallest of details were to even change microscopically, you would not be born. Imagine your mother tripping up on the street 5 minutes prior to the coffee shop, and how this slight delay would profoundly change the series of events. Since she lost a few seconds by tripping up, now she needs to wait for the red light to go off in traffic, which costs her a few more minutes, and by the time your mother grabs some coffee, your father would already be on the highway back to work. They have never collided, and they have never met, so you would never have been born. Just because your mother tripped up on the street for a few seconds, that microscopic change had erased you from existence. This is called the butterfly effect, a profound idea that is described by an analogy. When a butterfly in Hong Kong flaps its wings, a tornado appears in Colorado, showing how even the smallest and most inconsequential and separate-looking events and actions are inseparably connected to everything else. This is the law of causality taught by Radagon to Miquella, the idea that, whether good or bad, all things matter and should be valued as a holistic system, as parts of a greater whole, not trying to shun an aspect of reality as bad and abandoning it for this reason, just because it is different. That idea is inherently flawed from this perspective. Life includes death. Death includes life. They can't be separated. Systems thinking is an underlying philosophy that investigates how profoundly parts contribute to the whole. At its deepest application, it provides an insight into the perfect nature of reality, as described by Buddhism, promoting value systems like empathy, objectivity, unconditional love, equanimity, and wisdom. This already provides a certain lens we can view Miquella in, but this is just the beginning. Now, let's continue our exploration with the law of regression. The fundamentalists describe the golden order through the powers of regression and causality. Regression is the pull of the meaning, that all things yearn eternally to converge. What is being referred to exactly by the phrase, all things yearn eternally to converge? What a peculiar way to phrase things, right? Doesn't mean Radagon is trying to teach Miquella that going back to the basics is the way, or something like the end is the beginning. Although not bad inferences, the law of regression is the very definition of non-duality, a spiritual path that emphasizes the absence of fundamental duality or separation in existence. This experience directly questions the boundaries conventionally imposed between self and other, mind and body, observer and observed, that pervades our everyday perception of reality. Now, in Elden Ring, Hyetta makes it clear in her dialogue. All that there is came from the one great. Then came fractures, births, and souls. But the greater will made a mistake. Torment, despair, affliction, every sin, every curse. Everyone born of the mistake. And so what was borrowed must be returned. Melt it all away with the yellow chaos flame, until all is one again. I'm not saying Frenzy Flame is the epitome of wisdom and non-duality per se. Well, yes and no. There is a bit of both in Hayate's description. My point is this origin story is important to understand deeply, as it illustrates how a tendency exists in a reality that's been separated from its source, desiring to become one again, going back to the source, not as in going backwards, but in completing the circle of life, regressing and progressing towards the most fundamental aspect of existence, to embody the non-dual source that is intrinsic to all living things. Crucible era of the Earth Tree is a good example to understand this. This is a manifestation of the Earth Tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together. This is the description of what that primordial essence is. And this is the consequent perversion of its divine qualities by Marika's Golden Order. A vestige of the crucible of primordial life, born partially of de-evolution, it was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. Both Radagon and Goldmask would surely object to this partial de-evolution, as Marika's propaganda would put it. The law of regression is the very embodiment of this worldview. The understanding of non-duality Radagon leaves Miquella with, the wisdom that pervades the essence of existence and even the Golden Order. As Hayate put it, when Greater Will made a mistake and fractures appeared from the One Great, even those fractures, those mistakes, if you will, are still imbued by the non-dual source and its holism within its metaphysics. At this point, I hope I made a solid foundation for what Golden Order fundamentalism represents, as a profound understanding of existence, if you will. In fact, as a father and son, Radagon and Miquella had a back and forth relationship where they were talking about these ideas and concepts, gifting each other spells and incantations. Amidst all this, there was this one thing in Miquella's mind, bothering him: his sister Melania's sickness. See, Golden Order fundamentalism is very profound in its principles. However, it can't miraculously cure diseases. It doesn't have the answers to all the world's problems, nor is it even designed to be. You don't go to a mathematician and philosopher when you have a toothache. That's what dentists are for. Similarly, Miquella, with the foundation of Golden Order fundamentalism under his belt, decides to pursue a different avenue to cure his sister Melania of her curse of inevitable decay. As the lore goes, and yet the young Miquella abandoned fundamentalism, for it could do nothing to treat Melania's accursed rot. This was the beginning of unalloyed gold. I want you to not misinterpret what is being referred to here. Make no mistake, Miquella is utilizing his existing knowledge and experience gained via fundamentalism to start a potentially new medicinal path with unalloyed gold, turning what is theoretical into practical. I want to now take a break and flip the script back on its head and talk about Miquella's relationship to Marika. But to understand this dynamic, we need to explore what the Age of Plenty represents. It was once thought that the blessed sap of the Earth Tree would drip from its boughs forever, but that Age of Plenty swiftly came to a close, and with time, the Earth Tree became more of an object of faith. This is an extremely important item description to understand for multiple reasons. Age of Plenty is presumably the period shortly after Marika's Golden Order has started and the Rune of Death was sealed in Malekith. As you can see, the capital is filled with bowls to contain the dripping sap from the trunk of the Earth Tree. This Earth Tree sap has divine properties revered by the people of the capital. Even to this day, in its former glory, it served a fundamental purpose. In fact, we see Marika delivering the sap of the Earth Tree in a bowl to baptize the people. But to what end? What exactly does the sap do? What would be the point of baptizing people? Well, the answer is shocking. In fact, in some ways, it is so simple that you probably missed it. The entire game, the truth has been foreshadowed, yet you didn't realize it. Each time you open a doorway to the boss in an underground dungeon in Elden Ring, the truth of the Earth Tree burials and the reincarnation of the people was facing you. Do you see the people in its roots being buried, and then actual humans spring forth from the leaves of the tree? Do you see all of those unabsorbed corpses lying at the roots of the Earth Tree undergrounds? Unabsorbed due to the Death Root curse infesting the Earth Tree's roots thanks to Godwyn's abomination. This is the profound truth of the Age of Plenty. At these times, people were baptized from the Earth Tree's bough and had Earth Tree burials to be reborn from its leaves. Just as the first cutscene puts it, the fallen leaves tell a story. The story of the life-reinforcing and death-denying order of Marika. The Age of Plenty came to an end after some time. The Earth Tree no longer shared its blessings, and when the collected sap of the Golden Order slowly but surely depleted, the people couldn't have Earth Tree burials anymore, as the blessing sap was what allowed for people to be reincarnated in the first place. Meaning, post-Age of Plenty, people were living their lives like a zombie, all rotten, extremely long lives that just doesn't end. The bones and skin decaying, but life somehow persisting. After all, the Rune of Death is sealed in Marika's reign, meaning all demigods are eternal. Grace is given to its subjects, the golden hue in their eyes, the immortality of the tarnished. Post-Age of Plenty, people may not be dying per se, but the usefulness, energy, zenith for life in Marika's subjects are slowly waning away as decades go by. Without the Earth Tree reincarnations, former productive members of society are living their lives as a bunch of corpses. This unfortunate turn of events is described in the Minor Earth Tree Church by Marika herself. I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order. Through understanding of the proper way our faith, our grace is increased. Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must you falter? This is an extremely important location in Elden Ring with an important quote from Marika that describes what is happening here. Let's unpack this with those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. Now, what is being meant by this phrase? I think it's obvious now since we've laid down the foundation. Those days are referring to the end of Age of Plenty, where the sap was dripping from Earth Tree's trunk, blessing the people of Marika, fueling the Earth Tree burials and reincarnations. But those days are long past now, so Marika is declaring her intent to find a solution to this problem. And as people's faith in the order is waning, Marika is trying to keep spirits high by the phrase, "My comrades, why must you falter?" When we enter this church, we find the Golden Order seal, representing Golden Order fundamentalism, the very topic we've just explored in depth. Now, you might ask, what is this Golden Order seal got to do with anything Marika is saying here in this church? Weren't you the one who said Marika was opposed to this scholarship pursuit and Radagon was the one who pioneered it? That's exactly right. This situation is unprecedented, to say the least. Marika must have a very good reason to do this, to say these words, because tables have turned now. She is in a dire need of a solution to her living corpse's problem. Earth Tree needs to regain its reincarnation abilities, and if the Golden Order fundamentalism has the solution, then so be it. However, what exactly was the solution that twisted Marika's arm and got her on board with fundamentalism? As you can see, this minor Earth Tree is different. Typically, the minor Earth Trees are vertical, while only this one is wobbly and disjointed. On top of that, there is this golden hue to this tree where the others have a brown trunk. What might be the reason for this? Marika previously said to search the depths of the Golden Order, so I decided to follow her lead and entered in the nearby sealed tunnel, hoping to go down deeper to explore what is happening with this Golden Earth Tree. After hitting an invincible wall, I made my way down, killing some enemies. Finally, I've arrived at a location that seemed like a dead end. I was seeing that golden hue in the tree trunks, but I feel like I could still go down, and if this was the end, this would be too anticlimactic. I was going to search the depths of the Golden Order after all. So, I hit my weapon and find another invincible wall. I make my way down even deeper, and finally I arrive at the source of the golden hue of the minor Earth Tree up above. The Lord Alabaster, guarding a golden meteor, great sword forged from the golden-hued meteoric ore. The blade conceals gravity-manipulating magic, a weapon unique to the Onyx Lords, a race of ancients with skins of stone who were said to have risen to life when a meteor struck long ago. That exact meteor resides right here, and I realized that then and there the golden hue I observed in the minor Earth Tree up above was sourced by the golden meteor this Alabaster Lord was protecting. All along, the minor Earth Tree Church was an experimentation ground for Miquella and Marika to imbue unalloyed gold into the Earth Tree so that it can perform its reincarnation function without the need of its Earth Tree sap and baptism practices utilized in the Age of Plenty. See, once I've realized this realization has blown my mind. Since Miquella has pioneered unalloyed gold, it is safe to assume minor Earth Tree Church was an experiment done with Marika and Miquella to find a solution to this reincarnation problem that has been plaguing the Golden Order ever since the Age of Plenty. See, normally, minor Earth Trees have found their ways in the lands between after the shattering of the Elden Ring. When the Elden Ring was shattered, these seeds flew from the Earth Tree, scattering across the various lands. Yet, there are 3 mini Earth Trees specifically planted in the location of the minor Earth Tree Church, not just one Earth Tree like all the rest. These are not the seeds from the shattering event. It is too closely targeting a narrow location, unlike other minor Earth Trees. Instead, this is a former experimentation ground for Marika and Miquella to unearth the potential of unalloyed gold for bringing reincarnation back to the lands between. The experiment of directly ingesting unalloyed gold within the Earth Tree roots. After this breakthrough, it is not hard to see why Miquella is the favorite son of Marika and Radagon. Miquella is taking the core of Golden Order fundamentalism and giving a practical spin on its principles by unalloyed gold. Miquella is like this practical, down-to-earth, yet philosophical and rigorous balance of Radagon and Marika, containing the elements of masculinity within the feminine, just as the alchemical Rebis child should. Speaking of alchemical Rebis child, that is Miquella, let's remember the idea we've explored in the previous video, the alchemical lore of the Rebis. In alchemy, the divine pursuit is to combine the sun and the moon to create the philosopher's stone, the true gold, the unalloyed gold. And both Marika and Radagon did create this perfect Rebis child. Seemingly everything was on track for the true Empyrean to ascend the throne. However, there was something very wrong with Miquella. Both Miquella and Malenia are twins born with curses. While Miquella is cursed with eternal youth, Malenia is cursed with eternal decay. As you can observe, Miquella is frail, young, and weak physically. Mohg has stolen him post-shattering, and this fact gives such sorrow and sadness in Marika that even Gideon feels the need to address it. So the Halic tree, now but a husk. I heard speculation Miquella embedded himself in the Halic tree, but before he could finish, someone cut the tree open and absconded with his infant form. Indeed, it seems those words held weight. How vexing that the all-knowing didn't have the full story. Perhaps the queen's sorrow was justified. My apologies. Lost myself for a moment there. Perhaps the queen's sorrow was justified indeed. Mohg has stolen the true Empyrean of the unalloyed gold, and now the throne of the Empyrean lineage is left in a power vacuum. See, Ranni has rebelled against the greater will. Malenia is on the brink of losing her mind, and Miquella is stolen by Mohg. Marika feared this would happen. She knew the moment Ranni has shed her Empyrean flesh and rebelled against the greater will by killing Godwyn, not just Earthtree but her Golden Order would eventually die if she succeeded in her vision. Ranni should be stopped. But the question is how? How exactly? Miquella in his infant form couldn't hope to oppose Ranni in this state, and Melina can only carry Miquella so far. Marika needed a plan. Something to bolster Miquella, something to lend him strength so that he could oppose Ranni, who had shed her Empyrean flesh to bring the Age of Stars. Shattering of the Elden Ring. I propose Marika already did have plans for shattering the Elden Ring before Godwyn's death. So shattering of the Elden Ring didn't happen on a whim or as an emotional reaction. Marika planned Elden Ring's shattering already. However, what happened with Godwyn is that his death forced Marika to speed up her plans, as Ranni is now a direct threat to her realm and demigods. Post-shattering, if Miquella were to claim a shard of the Elden Ring, in spite of his curse, with the newfound strength of the shards, it might tip the scales just enough for Miquella to oppose and best Ranni as the true Empyrean of the Golden Order, giving Radagon's and Marika's beloved Rebis child, Miquella, his greatest chance at ascending the throne by shattering the Elden Ring. The Elden Ring that is the very interconnectedness of all phenomena and the unified order of power that can ultimately be Miquella's last chance. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. I've spent so many hours preparing this, and if you can show some support by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel, I would most appreciate it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.